Hey guys, it's ANicWin, also known as Amy, and happy Monday. I hope you're having a lovely day. I'm like kind of laughing at myself because I made it 5 minutes into the speed build, like into the voiceover, and I could not remember something about it. But I couldn't remember if I talked about it or not, so I just deleted the whole thing and started over. So that's how my Tuesday's going. Because I record these about a week in advance, just for my sanity, but oh, ay, ay, ay. Here we are. So this is I would call this like a mini Victorian home in wow, Strangerville. In Strangerville. It really should be up on the like clifftop neighborhood area where all the other Victorian homes are, but I decided to place it down here in the starter neighborhood. I just like this lot a little bit better. I don't know. This is just where I felt like it belonged. Even though it's the tallest home in the neighborhood. It's fine. It's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. So I don't have some big elaborate story for the family that lives here. I kind of have an idea of what their dynamic is, but beyond that, I've got nothing. I don't really have their personalities fleshed out or their careers or anything. The only things I can really tell you is that I'm certain that they're from here. I don't think they're transplants. And it's a young couple, whatever dynamic that might be, and they have 4 kids. So they have 3 of them are child aged, one is a toddler, but the 3 that are child aged are not triplets. 2 of them are twins, fraternal twins. One's a boy, one's a girl. I think the boy is the oldest. And then they have like a year or 2 years later, they had a single birth. So I'm fleshing out the exterior. I really wanted to use yellow, and I made myself not use yellow siding because I felt like that's the instinct for me here, is to always use like a yellow or a cream. I don't know why. I don't know what the draw is for that. So I decided to go with this green. It's actually, I think, a spa day siding. I think. I could be lying, but I don't think it's the base game one because this is just a little bit more of like a teal or a blue green and not so much a like green. You feel me? But I did use a yellow door because I'm like, yellow has to be here somewhere. And this is the moment where I realized that there was no matching no matching gate for the fence, at least not one that was solid white, that was the correct height, that was like the same style. And for a few minutes, I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I proceed now? Because I really didn't want to use the season's fence. It just didn't feel like it was going to go, but I wanted one that was higher because this house is basically in the center of town. So I wanted them to have some privacy. And as you can see, we figured it out. Like, I just went with one that has like some wood tones going on, but that was mostly white, and it worked out for the better. But that just kind of inspired the rest of the build because not a single thing in this house, not a single wood tone at least, matches. Like, we have gray tones in one room, and then I think the next one is like, it might be an ashy brown, I think. And then in the next one, it's like a cream and more like a rich brown. I don't know. I can't. The descriptive words are not my like strong suit, but none of it matches. And I kind of like that because where it is a younger couple, they're probably not buying all of their furniture at the same time, definitely not from the same place, even if they are. So it makes sense to me that the pieces wouldn't necessarily go together, but they go together. And of course, you be the judge of that. What I think looks good, you may not think looks good. So, I mean, that's how things work. That's how personal preference works. So it's totally fine if you hate it. It felt really unnatural to place things as I place them. So it was something I had to kind of like really tap into. And of course, I'm speaking about the furnishing and we're not even in the house. So stay tuned, I guess. The front yard came together really easily. The hardest thing about landscaping was the terrain paint. It was so difficult because like right here, adding any sort of shading to give it dimension, it looked gray rather than dark brown because the natural terrain or the stock terrain, the base terrain, I don't know what you would call that. That's red. It looks like it's supposed to be desert. It looks like clay to me, but it's red. So anything that is like dirt textured just looks muddy and gross. I didn't like it. I eventually found something that kind of worked in the end, but it took me like some finagling to get to. So the front yard, as you can see, is pretty open, but that's again because they're in the center of town, so there's not a whole lot of privacy. The backyard, they have a pool. I did kind of line the back of the fence with some bushes and things like that. It kind of pulls in what was in the front yard into the backyard. I like that consistency. I decided to go ahead and give them a couple of floats. I love that whale one. I don't use it often enough, and the pizza one just kind of made me laugh. And then I place some buoys and things like that, just some decor to make it look like maybe if one of them was in trouble, in peril, they could be saved. And then I decided to give them the toddler pool as well, because they do have a toddler, and I can't remember what the weather systems are like in Strangerville. It's been so long since I played here that I wasn't sure how hot it got. So I wanted to make sure that the toddler had the opportunity to cool off as well and kind of participate in some of that family outdoor fun time. And then I gave them a grill. So I imagine they're probably eating indoors and outdoors. They have a small table in the kitchen and there is a formal dining, but eating outside is just like the vibe, right? Like it's so different. You could take the exact same meal, you put it outside and it's like 10 times better. I don't make the rules. It just is what it is. And then because they're responsible parents, there are two like lounging chairs out here for the parents to like monitor their kids as they swim. So we love that. I decided to go with this really long table. I believe it's from Cats and Dogs, but it's not the same one I use inside. I don't really get to use that table a lot, so I saw my opportunity and I took it. And then I also used this tree from the movie Hangout Stuff. I think it's a stuff pack. I like trees with the lights and the lanterns. I don't know why. It's just something that I'm drawn to. So there's no real rhyme or reason other than I liked it. I thought it was pretty. And so I used it. And then I also gave them the swing set as well. I wanted to make sure the kids had a lot of activities. I wasn't so much worried about the adults because they can read for skill building. You can always take them to a community lot, but sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to take your kids off lot, or maybe that's just me. But it's hard for me to like include them unless there's a specific family outing that I have in mind. Then we get started on the porch. So we have this little outdoor couch. I decided to place the potted plant there on top of that little mirrored table. And then there's like a little drink tray situation, so you can sit out here and kind of like wave at your neighbors if you want to. I'm not one of those people that's gonna sit on a front porch if other people can see me. Like maybe that's just me. I don't know if it's like the introvert in me. I don't know what it is, but I'm just like, I'm not doing it. But I know people love to do that kind of thing and I support them. Just don't invite me, please. I do include a couple of rugs on the front porch as well, just because there's a lot of space, but I end up only I use the same one. I end up putting it in front of the front door and in the sitting area, but not along the whole thing. Now we move into the kitchen. The kitchen is my favorite room. This entire build, it took me, I think 3 days total to finish the entire thing, and like a solid day was spent on the kitchen. And it looks like it comes together so quickly. I had to pre-plan. There was just a lot of things that went into this. Now I play tested the microwave. You can use it. That does not block you from using it and having your sim prepare meals or anything in the microwave, but you will not be able to use the popcorn machine. You'll have to pull it down, but there is an empty countertop for you to do so. So it's not as difficult as I thought it was going to be, because I was a little bit nervous about that, but it all worked out fine. Now to put it back, you do have to go in build mode and kind of move that countertop piece, but that takes like a couple of seconds. It wasn't that big of a deal for me. But if that's something that's, more of an annoyance for you, feel free to remove that. But we're fleshing out the rest of the kitchen. I wanted to make sure there was enough counter space left empty, and I don't know if the sim will use the countertop that's right there with that longer piece of cabinetry above it. In past versions, they've been able to, but then since the cottage living update, mine haven't been using it. So I don't know if that's just a me thing. I don't know if that's everyone. I don't know if it's a glitch. I don't know. So I wanted to be safe than sorry. So I did clutter up the two corner pieces. Of course, we have the microwave piece, but the one that's to the left of the stove, I leave that completely empty. because I do want to make sure that you can prepare food and things like that. You may not be able to use group cooking, but I still haven't successfully really used it, so I'm not convinced it works. Maybe it does. I don't know. I have no idea. But this is pretty much it for the kitchen, and then, well, at least for that part of the kitchen. And then I decide that in this little space, which was originally, it was going to be where the stove goes, and it was going to be tiled differently, I could not center it and make it look good. So I decided to build a coffee and tea bar. I do come back and clutter this up a little bit differently than what you see on camera. A little bit later. I don't show that on the recording. Sometimes I include it, sometimes I don't. But decorating in this tiny space was such a headache that I did a lot of it on my own. And the lights that I'm about to place here, these tube lights, whatever those are, I do merge them up into that shelf piece, the shelving unit, so you can't see them, but it still illuminates the countertop itself. So I'm aware that you can see them as you're watching me build it, but in the screenshots you should not be able to see them, and when playing you should not be able to see them. Then I decided to go ahead and give them a little breakfast nook. There are like 3 high chairs in this build, which is bold for me because I don't ever use them, ever. But I don't know, I feel like I need to include them because if you have a toddler, you should have the option. But the Sims never leave the toddlers alone, so it's really frustrating. But there's one outside, there's one there at that breakfast table, which is specifically for the kids. That's why I use kids' chairs and things like that. And then this is the formal dining. So there's no extra seating inside. If you have guests over, you'll have to use the table that's outside, or the kids will just have to sit in the kitchen or something like that. But I do include a high chair in each room. Where there's a dining table, there is a high chair. So I was inclusive. And you may notice I cut out me placing curtains in the kitchen, and that's because I had to use blinds, and I struggled with that. I fought with it. It's impossible to put curtains on the Discovery University windows. They don't clip. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but it just was not working for me. But that was the dining room. It's pretty short, sweet, to the point. I don't imagine they're spending a ton of time in there, so I didn't go too hard with the decorations. And we moved straight here into the walkway, the entryway. I just placed a little console table here with some stuff. There's some toys shoved underneath it in a bin, a backpack that someone probably walked in and just dropped. There's some plants. There's some, feminine elements. There's some family elements. It's the catch-all, really. I do use that hanging plant quite a bit. I use quite a few of the hanging plants. They're my favorite, personally. I wish I could have some in my apartment. Well, I'm not in an apartment. I'm in a house, but I wish I could have some here. It's just hard to get them to where they'll have light. And I don't have a green thumb, so I'm not convinced they would thrive anyway, even if I had sunlight. So that could just be a dream that I'll never, I'll never see come to fruition. But now we're working on the living room. So I try to clutter up this little console table as well. There's some toys, some plushies, some cards. Maybe someone had a birthday or something recently, and we're kind of displaying that. I was a little bit lazy with decorating, and I decided to just kind of clutter up with the the tissue boxes so I can freely place things, because sometimes pulling away the tables and cluttering that way is just too much for me. And that's why I do that. It's just laziness, to be honest. And then I go ahead, I give them 2 couches. I was gonna do a sectional, but I still can't make the sectionals look good. It's 100% user error, because I've seen people use them and they look phenomenal. They look fantastic. But then I try to use it and I can't do it. It's just not meant for me, and it's fine. I'll keep practicing, but I make 0 promises. We place a area rug, I believe, before we move on. Yes, we do. And then we're going to move into this back corner here. No, we're not. We're going to place that on the wall. Then we move into the back corner. There is no computer downstairs. This was going to be an office nook first. And then I decided, no, I'm going to just kind of place a bookcase. We're going to have this be more of a hangout area, but you're away from the hustle and bustle of the main section of the living room. So there's the CD player here. It looks like there's records. I think that's a Beatles record. I'm going to be honest with you guys. And there are some toys. So this really, any sim of any age can sit here and find something to do. So there's, toddler sim, child sim, adult sim. They're good. They're going to be entertained. I decided to include a dollhouse down here. I knew there wasn't going to be room in the bedrooms upstairs for all of the things. And since I had the space down here, I went ahead and placed that. I also placed that empathy bear. I love that toy. I think that's such a cool thing. And I believe that came with parenthood, not parenting. I did size down the toy box. I still don't know if a size down toy box works. Again, that's bold for me because I do that a lot. But here we are. I always forget to play test it. I don't know why. So if it doesn't work, there are toys freely placed around it. So I apologize in advance if it doesn't work. And what you'll notice in the screenshots is the paint color in that room changes, and I swapped out a few art pieces. Again, I went back and did that without recording. So there are some small design choices that changed before the final product was done. Then we move upstairs to the master. This room is a little bit wild. It's chaotic, and you're either gonna love this space or you're gonna hate it. Like I'm very well aware of how polarizing this is because nothing really matches. It's got like that purple and burnt orange thing going on, and this is just a little bit more chaos than I would like in a bedroom. But I think for this couple it works. This was just the vibe that I got. Now I do place this wardrobe here, and I do the little mirror trick where I put the mirror on one of the sliding doors because again, I'm trying to tap into that. They probably had this for a while. This is their like maybe a wardrobe from college or something like that. But I end up getting rid of that in the end, and I give them like a little computer space because this room is so big it had room for it, and I thought maybe they kind of wanted that away from the kids. Maybe they don't allow the kids to use the computer, or maybe one of them works from home and this is just their office space on a permanent basis. So that was the thought there. I don't believe I recorded that either, but I can't honestly remember. So it'll be at the very end if I included the recording, but I don't think I did because I think I did that change after I had finished playtesting it and was going in and taking screenshots. So we'll see. Either way, you'll be able to see what it looks like at the end. And I did, as you can see, I did not match a single piece of furniture. Nothing in this room came from the same pack. Everything came from something different. None of it has the same wood tone. They don't have the same finish. They're wooden pieces, they're metal pieces. It's chaos. I like it, but it is a little bit more than I would normally have in my space. Then we move on to the toddler's room, and I love this little popsicle stick bed. It's my favorite thing ever. I think it's so cute. And this is for, obviously, their toddler. I think the toddler is a girl. In my head, she is. But I think this room is fairly neutral. I have the hiccups, I'm so sorry. But I think this room is fairly gender neutral, so it could really go either way. And if you wanted to change like a swatch here or there just to kind of make it definitive one way or the other, you can. But I don't really think colors are gendered. So it's really just all about your perception. I think for the first time that I can recall, I'm actually using this mirror. I'm going to be a hater for a second. I don't like this mirror. And I don't like it because it's super reflective, which is not really a problem. But if you're placing it above a solid object, it looks like it's like blocked out, and then the mirror doesn't have anything on the edges. So it just looks unfinished. I'm not a fan, but it's fine. I used it because it's cute. I decided to place a little basket of blankets so they can be cozy when they snuggle in the rocking chair. And of course I put Baby Yoda in the basket because why not? It just looked like a little cozy touch, and that sparked joy for me. I'm just going around and decorating the rest of the wall space. I do get rid of that butterfly picture. I thought it was a little bit too grown up for the room, and I wanted to keep this fairly like happy and youthful because they're little, you know? And then I do throw in this bookshelf. I clutter it just the tiniest bit, and by clutter I mean I add a lamp. And that's all I do to the bookshelf because it already looks like it has enough. I do give them a toddler potty. This is the only room where there is a toddler potty because I forgot to put one downstairs, so you may have to add one later. But for the most part, everything that you could need is upstairs in their room. Then we head into the girls' room, and we're gonna jump in with this bunk bed. I like this one. It kind of looks like it could be like a playhouse. I don't know. I enjoy this. If I was a kid and I got to pick out a bunk bed, this is the one that I would pick. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I did not have the bunk bed though. I had one of those like pink canopy beds. Ay. Not my favorite, but I had that for a while. It was like metal, white metal with gold or brass maybe finishings with like these really pink curtains. My mom picked it out. It is what it is because I wouldn't have. But we're fleshing out the rest of the room. I think all of them, all of the kids, have a dresser or dresser system that is from Parenthood because I like those the best, especially for kids' rooms. So the girls have this mostly white and cream one with the purple and the flowers. Their room is very purple. I don't know if I did that intentionally. I don't think that I did. And then I realized it was like purple and teal, just like busting out all over the place. But to me, this is like a way to make a room appear kind of girly without everything just being Barbie pink. I don't know. I hate making stereotypically blue boy bedrooms and green, or not green, pink girl bedrooms, but sometimes you can't get away with it if you're wanting to go for a specific theme or something like that in the Sims, just because of how the swatches are. So I'm cluttering up the top of the dresser as well. There is some preteen items. There's some childlike items. I think that, they're definitely approaching that teenage stage. So they're starting to kind of dabble in the things that, older kids might start to think about, like appearance and nail polish and just sort of expressing their own individual personalities. I decided to give them a little love seat. I just thought it looked cute and it worked well with the two beds. And then they have this little locker space. Excuse me. They have this little locker space, and that's much it for the girls' room. And then we head over here into the boys' room. Now, he does have blue bedding, but I decided to go with this I think it's Parenthood. It might be my kid's first room or whatever. Whatever that stuff pack was, but the yellow and the gray, I liked how soft it was. Now, I think that this kid is probably a little bit more, I don't want to say like academically minded, but I think he's a little bit more to himself than his siblings are. And I kind of wanted his room to reflect like that kind of soft personality. I don't know if that sounds ridiculous, but that's just kind of what I was thinking in this room. So there's a lot of gray tones. There's a lot of that soft yellow cream. The color or the pops of color are not overly bright and not overly in your face. And that was the goal. That was what I was going for. So I also decided to give him the block table. I don't feel like I use that enough. Maybe I do. I don't know. I don't play with it a lot when I'm in gameplay, and I should, because it's kind of a cool object. He's the only one who has a desk in his room. I imagine homework is really done downstairs, but since this is his only space to kind of spread out and be himself, I decided to give him a little space for him to reflect. And then we head upstairs, and this is the play area. And I believe this is the last thing I recorded, so I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. As always, feel free to let me know what you think down below. You can leave a like or a comment. You can also subscribe if that's something that would spark joy for you. The screenshots will be posted on Instagram if you want to head over there and check those out. I will see you on Monday with my next video, and in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely day and a lovely rest of your week. Bye, guys.
Wasn't I meant to lie in your arms here for a while? I'm alive. I'm fine.